Well, ho, 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 here we are. 1 month ago to the big ho-ho, and Santa's elves are getting ready for another night of logistical mayhem. I'd like to welcome you to the Christmas edition of Lift Off, where we're going to be looking at one of the biggest logistical challenges for that big man in the red hat, not me, as he prepares for Christmas Eve around the world. On tonight's episode of Christmas Lift Off, we've been talking to some of the foremost experts on particular aspects of how does Santa Claus actually pull it off. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce all my guests around the table. So my top right, I have the Chief Crimbo Engineer, Graeme Short. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Graeme.
So I am an engineer at TECHNIA, working with you, Bruce, on all things space and helping these lovely people on this screen to do the amazing things that they do.
Modesty forbids me to say he's a Renaissance man. Okay, come more about that later. Into the middle, we have the splendid Viktoria Urban, who I have in my notes as that digital delight of festive joy. So, Ria, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you bring your multifaceted personality of academia, marketing comms to this wonderful party.
Well, I bring delight and I spread joy, obviously, online mainly. So I do marketing and communications, currently working for Space Scotland. I have a lot of degrees in a lot of different sciences, and I have got a journalistic background as well.
When you said a lot of degrees, I was very tempted to jump into that fantastic 70s record by the 3 degrees of When Will I See You Again, but we'll keep that for the bloopers reel. Now, I want to bring on one of my favourite guests of all time. She has been a stalwart supporter of Lift Off from that very, very mad idea first back in November. It's none other than the one and only Snow Queen of Propulsion herself, Sara Aloa. Hello, Sarah. Welcome back.
Nice to be back as well. I feel like I'm here like every other month as well, Bruce. It's become like a common occurrence. But no, I'm Sara. I'm the CEO and founder of Star's Edge. We do very low Earth orbit, everything from the propulsion to the satellites, making satellites fly closer to planes than traditional space. So hopefully bringing some good discussion into there.
Sarah, you're far too modest. I found myself thinking it's a bit like the Graeme Norton show, where there are regular guests turning up on a regular basis. Today we've got a very eclectic mix of a unique atmosphere and character. And but last but by no means least, the rather modestly dressed, I have to say, Mr. Christmas Dinner himself, Stuart Preston. Welcome, Stuart.
Thanks, Bruce. Thanks for having me. So I'm Stuart. I'm the founder of Ochil Astronautics, and we're developing hydroponics for extreme locations, whether that's in the front line or humanitarian zone, or more importantly, even up in orbit.
Fantastic. I have to ask a question which is bubbling on the lips of all our listeners and viewers, because there will be a video version of this. Have you gone full Christmas in your background, or is that really your house now as we speak?
Oh, it's real. It's real.
There's a whole debate of can you go too early for Christmas? We'll leave that again for a separate party.
No, you cannot.
Oh, I'm just so tickled pink that you've all joined today, and we're going to have some fun and games. But we want to start at the very, very beginning of this. And certainly when I was a small child back in the 60s and 70s, Father Christmas was one of those times those events was so exciting. But I could never quite really understand how that chap got around so quickly. And doing a bit of Googling this morning, and we did in preparation for this, nothing rushed it, we all prepared. I worked out that it takes Father Christmas apparently 36 hours, because of the time changes around the world, to deliver home presents to about 200 million homes across the world. But he has to do about half the speed of light to get there. Now, at traveling at that speed, he would vaporize. It's a simple bit of physics. But Graeme, I want to bring you into this now. I'm going to give you a piece of white paper here, appropriately snow-covered. And how would you go about developing perhaps a new reindeer, a new machine for taking Father Christmas up into this journey?
Well, I think it's an unfair question, Bruce, to be perfectly honest. I think the big guy's got this sorted. If you think how long he's been doing this now, there's nothing new under the sun, literally. He's got a reusable and recoverable spacecraft, which appears to suffer from no kind of degradation, fatigue. He's got no damage tolerance issues. It's stored all year in this kind of wet and cold environment. So, are we looking at corrosion issues or rot, as we might call it, for a sleigh that's that old? So, there's a lot of things to consider. And this idea of kind of reusability and recapturing your spacecraft and kind of going again, he's clearly been doing it for hundreds of years already. So, we see rockets landing on barges out at sea. He's already been doing it. If any billionaires want a steer on how to go about doing this effectively, they could do no better than asking Father Christmas how he's been doing it for all this time. And that's putting aside the fact that he probably had to write his own requirements at the start of all of this. NASA wasn't going when he first started flying around. So, how did he do it? I think that's the big question. I wouldn't even deign to presume that we could design anything better. This is an almost perfect example of right first time. There must have been some epic PLM system under the bonnet to make sure that all of these things are captured and understood and documented so that he can keep putting in his fitness for flight documentation every year and being allowed to go around the world. I mean, it's it's amazing, really.
So are you suggesting perhaps there's a lesson for us all to not ignore the big bloke in the red hat, again, not me, but to look at going back to basics, perhaps?
Well, yes. I mean, perhaps striding around the design office in a big red suit going ho, ho, ho is not the best thing to do, but I could certainly appreciate being handed a Christmas dinner or two, or maybe the occasional mulled wine, just to kind of make the day pass a little bit faster. I'm not sure.
So I suppose for any budding Elon Musks or Jeff Bezos or Katy Perry, for that matter, listening, go back to basics, look for the big man, and don't try to reinvent the wheel.
Keep it simple, stupid, under the mistletoe. Yep.